Yehudi is proud to present this year's ANI YEHUDI award to a woman who left a legacy of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of inspired Jews. Ladies and gentlemen, Yehudi asks Slovie Jungreis Wolff to please come to the stage and accept this award on behalf of her mother. The inscription reads, "Within every Jew there lies a spark, a flicker of light, a tiny flame. If you wish it, that tiny flame can become a great fire from which the words, Hineni, here I am, God, shall emerge. My children, Shavu Banim, come home." Rebitzen Esther Jungreis.
Thank you so much. I'm privileged to be the daughter of Rebitzen Esther Jungreis. Just a few moments, I'd like to share with you about my mother. When my children were little, and we would be by my parents for Shabbos, they would say, "Bubba, tell us a story." My children's favorite story was when my mother would tell them how she was just a little girl, and her parents, my grandparents, my mama and Zayda, decided that the winds of war were blowing over Hungary, and they wanted to make just one last visit to my Zayda, to my grandfather's parents. My great-grandfather's name was Harav Rabbi Yisrael Jungreis, and he lived in Nadedvar. He was the chief rabbi of the city. My grandparents took my mother and her two brothers. It was a very perilous journey. It was in the winter. The snow was very deep. It was very dangerous to travel then as a Jew, but they made the trip. And my mother described coming in, and my great-grandmother, for whom I was named Slavachana, embraced the children. And somehow she had some delicious, delicious cakes and delicacies, despite the danger of the time. And my mother would go into my great-grandfather's study. Behind him were all the holy books. And she would love to sit as he would study out loud and drink a hot tea with a sugar cube. That time that my mother went, my great-grandfather said, "Mein Kind, my child, come with me outside for a walk." And she bundled herself in her coat, and the snow was very deep, and they walked together. But my great-grandfather walked first, and he told my mother to walk behind him. And when they finally came back in, he looked at her and he said, "Lichte Kind, my precious light, tell me, do you know why it is that I walked before you?" And she said, "Of course, Zaidi, because the snow was so deep and you wanted to make footsteps for me." And my Zaidi began to cry, and he said, "My sweet child, the snow is going to become very, very deep. And I want you to always remember for the rest of your life that you had a Zaidi and you had a Bubby, and we made footsteps for you. Never forget it. Never be afraid." Soon after, my Zaidi was taken to Auschwitz, along with his wife, his Rebitzen, his children, his grandchildren, and he was never seen again. My mother was taken to Bergen-Belsen, and she's told my children, "Süße Kinderlach, my sweet children, the snow was so deep, and there were so many times that I fell down in my life, but I picked myself up because my Zaidi made footsteps for me. Never forget it." When we leave here today, my friends, and we come to the day of Yom Kippur, never forget that each and every one of us sitting in this room, each one of us has a Zaidi, a Bubby, who cried for us, who made footsteps for us, who prayed for us, who watches over us. Never be afraid. When you leave here today, go out, make a difference in this world. My mother's last wish was, say the Shema. Say the Shema. Embrace your mission as a people. Hashem should be with you. Shana Tova. Thank you so much.